I want to see today if I can make a little scene, not a scene as in, oh my god, I'm so gorgeous, you're not good, not that sort of scene, but the sort of scene inside this sphere. I wouldn't say that this particular sphere is the best moulding that I've seen, but I'm going to give it a go. And I made this little copper tree a while back. I'll link the video on how to make those in the description. I'll also link it at the top right at the end. This is the base that I'm going to use, and I realise this is bigger than the base, but I'm not worried about that. I'm going to let the ball sit there and I'm going to do something around the edges of that anyway. What I am going to do is drill a little hole in this first before I do anything, because I want this to sit on top of this light box and the light to shine through it. So let's get on with it. Well, I've drilled a hole through that, and all this was a wooden coaster blank. It wasn't anything expensive, and they're really cheap to buy. I will list everything that I've used today in the description below. So I think that sits on there quite nicely. I want to put a bit of texture onto this base, so what I'm going to use is this very white fine sand, and I know you've seen me use it before in a lot of projects. I love it for resin. I want it to be glittery as well, because obviously I love glitter. If you see a lot of gold glitter around for the next few videos, that is because I dropped a whole bag of gold glitter which just went everywhere. So I'm also going to put some white sparkly glitter into that, mix that up, so that gives me a little bit of sand and some glitter that will give it some sparkle. It'll make my glitter go further, which is great. What I'm going to do is paint on there some of this gold leaf glue, let that dry, and then use that to glue the sand and the glitter mixture onto. So I'm going to go around these edges, coat some on there, and the central bit where the light is going to shine through. But that's all nice and dry now, so it should take this mixture of sand and glitter on here really well. Now I'm going to go around and I'm going to push that down so it's got a great connection, because I don't want this glitter or sand floating around in the final resin piece. And there is one more thing I'm going to do with this to stop that from happening. And there you can see that is nice and sparkly, but also it's got some great texture to it. To ensure that this is as stable as possible, I'm going over this whole thing again with a little bit of Mod Podge and any loose bits of glitter or sand. That'll secure them down. This will dry clear and you'll still see that sparkle through them, and you'll still see that lovely texture. While my base is drying, I'm going to add some of that sand and glitter to the tree in various different places, and I'm using exactly the same technique. I'm popping on a little bit of this glue all around wherever I want the snowy look or the white look to sit, and then leave that to dry, and then I'm put some of the glitter and the sand on this. What I've also got is some broken glass, and I'm going to pop some of that around in different places as well once I've glued this on, and I'm going to be using UV resin to do that with. That's dry now. All I need to do is scatter some of this over here. Make sure that's all in. I've transferred some of the J-Diction UV resin over into a small little bottle, covered it in foil, and that way I get a much smaller amount coming out. Just going to bend some of my roots right over so they touch where I want them to touch, and I want this tree to be in the centre. These are so easy to make and so much fun. I'm happy with that. First thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of UV resin around the edges. I'm also now going to pop around some of this glass, and I'm going to put that into the UV resin like this. I'm using some of the larger pieces, and as long as you've got no UV light going on in your room, you're fine. Work like this until you put your UV lamp on it. And I've showed in quite a few videos how to make your own glass, but you can buy it really easily. It's quite cheap and easy to get hold of. That's all cured, lovely and secure. Now I can knock off any loose bits. And what I'm going to do is give this another little coat over the top of this glass to soften it all off a little bit. I love this J-Diction UV resin. It is definitely the best UV resin out there. And I never used to like UV resin, but this has converted me. Now I'm not going to cure that up just yet. And what I'm going to do is allow that to find its own level first, so it's not looking like a really big bulge of UV resin. But I do want it to have a bit of shape to it. And if there's any areas that I think, oh, that needed a bit more glass in it, I've got some bits here that I can then put in. And by curing it up in two different stages, you're ensuring that where the glass is covering bits, you're actually curing it up. It's not causing it to overprotect it and leave uncured bits of resin. There we go. I think that's fine. Put my lid on my resins and let's cure that up again. Now we've got that all cured up, add a few bits of this glass onto the tree itself, and I'm going to use exactly the same method, and that is why I've got this small nib here. Can you see there? I'm putting a tiny bit on there, picking up a tiny bit of glass with my tweezers and popping that in there. Now, I'm not overdoing this. I only want it to look like there's bits of frost on the tree in certain places. Again, a little bit of glue over the top of it. Well, that's all nice and cured on there, and that isn't going to go anywhere. I'm going to give it a quick tap just in case there's any loose bits. Now, where we've got the melted snow or ice there, I'm going to add a little bit more of this glitter to give it a little bit more dimension. And again, I'm going to do it exactly the same way, going round, adding some of this gold leaf glue onto here, and then pushing it in, and then going over it again with a little bit of Mod Podge. When the light shines through there, it will really pick those up and sparkle. Now this is all lovely and dry. I don't think much glitter or any of the glass is now going to come off. A little bit might, but we can live with that if it gets in there. I'm going to be trying out a new deep pour resin to me, and that's by Teexpert. Now, you know I like J. Dixon's deep pour, love it, but I like to have more than one resin that I can go to that I can feel confident in, because to be perfectly honest, I like to go with the one that's most competitively priced at the time I need to order it. Now, with any deep pour resin, always make sure it's at room temperature before you pour it, and also this is mixed up as a 2:1 ratio, which allows it to cure slower. So that's 2 parts A to 1 part of B. I've got this all mixed up and I'm pouring it in. I'm not pouring it in slowly because this is a lovely thin resin as it's deep cure resin. And pouring it in slowly isn't going to make any difference to the bubbles. Giving it a bit of a tap here to dislodge any that are stuck on the side. Huge thank you to all my members whose names are coming up now. If you'd like to become a member of the channel and benefit from all the perks and getting access to me as well and asking questions, the link for that is in the description below. Topping this up now a little bit more up to the rim, and then I can add the tree, slowly adding that in. I will give it a bit of a shake to release any stuck bubbles and top it up as well, right to the very top of that mould. Huge thank you to everyone that got me a coffee last month. If without you guys, I wouldn't be able to keep this channel going. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, the link is in the description below. This is all cured up now. Only took a couple of days and it's gone lovely and hard. I'm a little bit nervous about undoing this. Now, it's going to be more difficult to get your fingers into there to get this mould out. So when I have a problem like that, what I have here is the head of a coat hanger that is covered in plastic, so I don't have to worry about it damaging my mould. And all I do is I flip that into there like that, and that gives me something to purchase on to be able to remove that mould. And then all I need to do is pull that mould off of there. And it is a little bit more difficult with these one size moulds, but it's not too much of a problem. And there we are. We've got our little tree all embedded in there, looking great, I think. The only issue is with that mould is there is a couple of scuff marks that came with that mould that were already embedded into it, and it's not 100% shiny there. But other than that, it's come out really well. Look how lovely and clear that is. That's why it's really important to use the correct resin for the correct project. So this is a slow cure resin that has worked really well. Beautiful clarity in there, all in one pour, and lovely and hard. So let's see what it's going to look like lit up. It fits on this base really well, and this is what it looks like lit up. But obviously I've got all my studio lights on, so I'm going to turn those off and see if we can get a good image on that. There we are. It looks really great. What a lovely little ornament to have out at Christmas. Making these wire trees is so easy and simple. The glass shows up really well, and the glitter hasn't contaminated that ball at all because we used the right method to ensure the glitter was stuck down onto the base. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you'll enjoy this video and you want to see more of this type of video, then boot that like button. It really helps me understand the types of videos people like to see, and then I can make more of those. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and ring that little bell. Ring that little bell. Be sure to check out the video I've got coming up next. I think you'll love it. Links to everything are in the description below. Take care. Enjoy your resin. Bye. Oh, it's so tactile. I can see me spending a lot of time past this in the house.